Welcome to Pigeon River Farm, doing farming right. I'm Robert Brown, the owner of Pigeon River Farm. Thank you for viewing. Well, good evening. In tonight's episode, I'm going to introduce you to a friend of mine, Al, who is a helper on the farm. It's amazing how I met Al and what Al actually did. Al was come over to the farm, and Al wanted to do something I've never seen before ever. Al wanted to clean the chicken barn. It was the darndest thing I've ever seen. Well, Al, why did you want to clean the chicken barn?
Thanks for having me, Bob. I love all your work. This is great. And I'm really happy that we're going to be collaborating. So before I share that story, one of the first things I want to say to all my friends and my thousands of followers on Forgotten Wisconsin, Old Barn Photography, Alan Kowaleski Facebook, and thanks to Bob, we're going to be doing a YouTube. Bob, what should they click on and be friends with so they can see this and many other things?
Okay, well, mainly it's YouTube and the other respective video platforms I'm on out there. So that would be YouTube, I'm on Rumble, I'm on BitChute. So you can find me there, and then also there's a Pigeon River Farm Facebook page.
Right, and that's what I wanted him to say, Pigeon River Farm. Thanks, Bob. Yes, I had an organic garden, if I remember telling you right.
Yeah.
And in my organic garden, being an old farmer myself and always growing up with the garden and 5 siblings, I wanted some organic chicken manure. Now, you of all people know that's not easy to find.
No. Yeah, and it's also hard to find anybody that will clean your barn out for free for the manure and what else?
If I negotiate right, I didn't clean too much of the barn, but I did work in the watermelon patch.
Yeah.
Since you had lots of watermelons that you took to market. And by the way, they were delicious.
Okay, you took one? Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that was like...
I was eating while I was picking weeds.
Oh, gotcha, yeah. So anyways, I remember you weeding everything, and that worked out really good.
And I got 5 50-gallon drums of chicken manure, organic.
Yep.
And it was the best garden. Everything was delicious. And also, the other things you gave me advice on, one of the things I really appreciate Bob for is his many years of experience in testing the soil, what to put back into the soil, and the chicken manure was just the creme de la creme. It was awesome.
Yeah. Well, I kind of look at everything from a biological micronutrient standpoint. That's kind of my point of reference.
And that's one of the things I liked about your YouTube.
And that's something that's kind of, it took a lot of years. It took literally decades to learn this. You remember, I came from a chemical farm. So back when I grew up, we were spraying everything, and I mean, no weed was supposed to be there because we're going to hit it with
Number 7.
Number 7, exactly. Yeah, so I had my sins from yesteryear. But then I quickly learned over time that, this maybe isn't really good. An experience that I had way back in the day. I was just a teenager, and we had a big windstorm, and we were raising a lot of cabbage, and a bunch of bags got blown into the fence line.
Poison.
Well, no, bags, just grain bags,
Okay.
or cabbage bags. And so I was assigned to go out there, and I was appalled. I was sickened. I saw all these beautiful songbirds laying dead because we had sprayed the night before. And that set in motion. And then as I went on to school and college and so on, I started thinking more and more, there's got to be another way to do this, another way of doing farming right.
Right.
And that was kind of a moment in time that triggered it. That was the trigger moment. But beyond that, it took a long time to learn and experience, and through the variety of different career opportunities I had, farming never left me. I was always in farming in one form or another.
The farm boy can leave Wisconsin, but Wisconsin and farming never leaves the boy.
Exactly.
I'm a perfect example. After leaving in 1983, traveling the world, ended up in Florida. My kids were born, raised, graduated. And then I came back to Wisconsin in 2018, and the last 5 years have been the most grounding, wonderful. Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. So the other thing that was so strange there is, since I have a love for videography and I can do a little bit of photography, but I've always had a love to put information down and record it because otherwise it gets lost to time.
Sure.
And I remember you and I talking about information.
Did I read you a poem that first day?
I think you did. Actually, I think we were out there, and I was thinking, will this guy ever get done shoveling the manure? I got to get on to other stuff. But he got talking about this reading a poem, and I think we were talking about at the time specifically about a legacy and information, and it's shame when it gets lost to time.
Right.
And not realizing what you were actually doing.
And we had so much in common right away,
Yeah.
conservative values, loving Christ and energy and helping the world, serving the world,
Right.
and understanding. We laughed. We actually said, Big Pharma is
Yeah.
actually our sponsor.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
Big Pharma and Big Agriculture poison everything and stomp everything and put the little farmer out of business, which is in my poetry. But you have taught me that no farm is too small. You can have a garden in your backyard. You can have it in your house.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things that Pigeon River Farm helps people with. And I want to collaborate with you with my entertainment and calm day poetry and all of my energy and enthusiasm. I've got a landing spot to collaborate with you to spread this ground green way to keep going.
Right.
And trust me, the world needs this. People
Yeah.
want it.
Yeah, and here we are on the hottest day that we've probably had in Wisconsin in a long time. So what I think the heat index outside right now is 108. This for northern boys, that is an awful lot.
That would be heat index after spending 9 years in Florida.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about Wisconsin is it doesn't stay. In
Yeah.
fact, as a photographer, I can take the same picture of a barn in 4 different seasons and 5 different weather formats.
that's right.
So
Yeah, yeah.
one barn, I can take a picture 12 different
Yeah,
ways.
yeah.
So it's fun.
It's so interesting because you spread awareness and information about the farming industry through your artwork, through putting out all of these farm scenes.
Connecting people again, connecting people to their
Exactly.
grassroots.
Yeah.
And trust me, I started out as a hobby, which turned into a passion. Happy Cow, he helped. Cows love me.
Yeah.
I've got away with curious cows.
Yeah.
From a passion to an extreme habitual habit into possibly an addiction.
Yeah, I think you hit all. I think you hit all of that.
I love it.
We had a counselor here.
I've got
that
over
identify it.
I've got over 3,000 barns. I've got hundreds and hundreds of animals. People online have nicknamed me the Barn Whisperer. Which, can I read you a poem right now?
Yes, I'd like to hear one. I really would.
Because this is an introduction to our collaboration.
Yeah, yes.
And I'm going to have a YouTube channel portal within Pigeon River Farm,
Right.
so we can keep the energy going and help each other, because that's what grassroots does. When I was growing up, people came around and helped us.
Yeah.
And we helped them.
And that's
we
where
took turns baling hay for each other, picking corn together.
I still live in that community. I
know. That's why
experience it every
I'm
day.
coming to this farm and getting grounded here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the poem.
Okay.
Again, I love to take pictures of barns, and I think they look great. I actually, without even trying, ended up selling them all over online as tiles. And this poem I wrote because every barn has a personality, right? You go around Wisconsin, it has a new roof, it doesn't. It's falling, it's been around since 1890, or it was built in the 1920s, different silo, grandkids play in the yard or they don't. There's so many barns with so many different stories. I like telling that story. I can feel the barn. And this particular picture,
Oh yeah.
that old barn had the bottom door open, wide open, and there was a darkness coming out of it. And it was kind of a cool, dark day. And when I got close to the barn, I never go on people's property without permission. I'm on the road. A lot of people come out and say, hey, come on in. Oh, really? They're fifth generation farmer. I heard the whole story 2 hours later. I'm taking pictures of the barn. But this one felt angry, and it reminded me what this is all about. It's called Open. The door was wide open. Do I dare enter? The barn was angry. It had a temper. It stood tall and strong, screaming, I'm not done yet. I'm still in my prime. Why? Why, back in my heyday, we never shut down. 3 generations of families strong. Where the hell did everyone go? I miss my cows, all my cows, and all the rows. Rows of machineries at my side. Rows of vegetables I fertilized. Fields of every crop always thrived. Where in the hell did everyone go? The door was now wide open. Do I dare enter inside? I realized he was hearing my whisper too. He said, what you should do. The barn gleamed. He told me, you are God's creation, created to create, so create a new future for I and you. And then the door of my heart opened, burst wide open. And I asked myself, entering into my heart, do I dare enter? Yes, I do. The barns need their stories told.
Awesome. And that is so much, and you have a chance to interact with so many different people and bring that awareness. And I know you have a special message that you kind of tell when you're doing the poetry and when you're showing your tiles, is you have a chance to talk about sustainable farming and the quality of nutrition and get people awareness of how the dangers of big ag.
Yeah, and getting out of the chemicals. You and I talked about it many times.
Right.
When you purchase food and the chemical list is this long and most of the words you can't pronounce, that goes into our body and adds up. And one thing I see around the country here in Wisconsin is almost a rebirth and a reborn. People still have gardens, but the city people want to learn how to have a garden in the backyard. You and I discuss it all the time. A little greenhouse. Our greenhouse is going to go up through the winter. It's going to be great. It was too hot this week to plant some beets. We'll get them in next week. So the point being is, a lot of people are sad about the old barns and the barnyards. When I'm here to tell you, they are fertile ground for more growing and more small sustainable farming. And we see it happening. And Pigeon River Farm is a catalyst for that. So.
Well, and that's one of the things we got to think about too here is to solve this problem is multidimensional. You have the obvious, and none of us can take on these big mega corporations that all of us have. If you have any kind of investment in the market and for your retirement or for a future investment, odds are you're funding the very thing that's destroying our food supply.
Yes.
So there's no simple way around this. I don't know of a simple way. But we got to think about a lot of it. I'm a big one, being involved with being a local official here, trying to make a difference on a local level.
And it works.
And it works.
You just
really,
gotta do
what
it.
it is, it's a little bit at a time, and if we all chip in. So don't hesitate. You know, if I tell people all the time, don't hesitate to consider running in your community for town board, for alderman, whatever the situation is, you know, if it's a town or a village, a city,
Get involved.
But get involved because you can make such a difference. I think about some of the draconian laws.
That's one thing I learned from you is that I'm no longer a pacifist on standing up for, I don't want to say fighting Big Pharma because that's a losing battle, but standing up and claiming what rights we have so they can't take any more.
Yeah. To me, I look at, I see some of the misdirected energy of the youth. And where they chase and they protest and they do all this stuff, but they really don't make any difference. They make a lot of noise. What they need to do is figure out how they can become actively involved, being involved with the planning commission, be involved. Because an example, I always thought just as absolutely insane, and now it has improved significantly, but it's still, we had thousands of miles to go. In suburbs, so we'll talk specifically the suburbs. A few now are allowing people to put a few chickens in a backyard.
Yes.
Wow. But they still can't work on doing anything in their front yard as far as putting gardens. We want to have a chemical wasteland. More chemicals are used on our lawns than on our crops.
I'm one for having no mow lawn and letting all the butterflies and the bees come in on a lawn.
And that's the kind of thing that need to happen. And how is that going to happen? It's going to happen. Well, awareness, but it's going to take action. We can have all the awareness in the world, but somebody has to roll up their sleeves and get it done.
And that's where I come in with you in making that happen. On Pigeon River Farm and all of your information, I'm having an entertainment site of poems and passion and interviews. And they're going to be people like yourself that I get to interview that adds to your awareness and how to take action, and also inspiring them. I'm doing a morning show.
That's the key there, is the inspiration.
Yes, and I'll give you a little example.
Oh, certainly.
I did this at the Historical Society. There were 100 people there, and when I read this, you could hear a pin drop. It was amazing how people get it. Because everybody generationally wise in Wisconsin, and even the people that moved to Wisconsin, can feel the grassroots here. You know, cheese curds and cheese heads are all fine and dandy jokes, but people want that. and that's why it's still big. And this is one that I wrote. And the morning show I'm going to do, we all talked about how we grew up listening to the guy at noon. My grandmother listened to him, and I never
Paul Harvey.
I love Paul Harvey.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And this
That was a steady diet growing up on the farm.
And I'd like to think I have a little Paul Harvey.
Can you believe it? Our local radio station, our local rock and roll station,
Right.
has Paul Harvey at noon.
The late ones. Or the,
Yeah, I mean,
years
from
ago.
yesteryear, but the point
Yeah.
being is like, for me,
Cool.
it's so reminiscent. And there was such messages in that.
So Barnstorming Serenity in your portal that I have, they can click on. That's what they're going to get. They're going to get that kind of inspiration in interviews. And this I wrote. It's called Father's Farm, and everybody has a father's farm.
Yeah.
And I wrote this for my dad on Father's Day. And a lot of people have purchased this in that particular barn as gifts. Because what do you give an old farmer? He's had everything. He's lived a life of heaven. Yes, they've worked hard, but they all have no regrets. And that's how I want to live. No regrets.
You're 100% right on that. Yes.
Although my father has passed, and all my grandfathers too, I hold in my hand the perfect view. On this Father's Day weekend, I remember too, a gentle hug, a smile in the right direction, a lesson on tools and how to take care of the mules, tractors, trucks, changing oil, how to till and fertilize soil, spare the rod, spoil the child, plant the crops in weather of hot, cold, or mild, walk the fence line, hunting for wild, find your favorite fishing hole and sit a while, learn the responsibility of being a good citizen and going the extra mile. Dad, I love you is not enough, so I want you to know you got it right. The best thing you gave me is my grandkids think I'm you.
Wow, that's kind of neat. That is definitely neat.
Yeah.
So, one of the things we
And
want
true.
to do,
It's true.
Exactly. One of the things I would like to do going forward as you start to learn, because I'm a technical person by nature. That's what I do. I've been a
Yes.
technical person my whole entire life. So I look at most things and I try to solve them with logic and some level of a fix. I'm a fixer.
So while what you're telling me is more people should call in and look at your website because you've already got at that
We do
YouTube
have
channel.
one, yeah.
How many videos do you have?
There's over 100 on there.
I know.
And some are long
I've sat
form,
through some
some are,
of them.
yeah. But what I'm not really is an entertainer, and that's what you bring. You have your outreach, your ability. I want to convey the information. I want to view it as an educator. But what Al's bringing here to the occasion is to be able to present this information in a form that I don't necessarily possess.
Basically, I think our gift is connecting people.
Exactly.
Because you've got the technical advice and the education, and you were a teacher for how many years?
Well, actually, in all different facets. So yeah, I was a technical education instructor. So I've got 20 plus years in that, and then I have an engineering background, a renewable energy background.
Right.
I've done a little of everything, but never one day in all them years, from infant till current, have I ever been off the farm.
Yeah, that's
I've
awesome.
always lived on a farm.
And when I left the farm, we farmed all of the 60s and up to 75. And as I traveled around the world, because my background, as you know, entertainment for 15 years worldwide. Then I did medical sales and motivational talks on health and wellness.
Yeah.
And for the last 5 years, I've been a caregiver,
Yeah.
which has taught me and took me in this direction of love at another level. But I bring that up because everybody can make a difference when they feel comfortable. And the media is not our friend. The media is about separation. So you have all the technical advice and wherewithal, and I have the ability, we together can build an ice cream social.
Yeah.
And the entertainment business, it separates us. There's grassroots entertainment all over Wisconsin, and I'm going to be interviewing them and bringing them on. I've got some Irish jig. I hope they watch this. I've got some Irish jig playing wonderful musicians. They're going to come on and play, and we're going to talk. And as we start building the ice cream social education and your technical wherewithal, and we start getting more guests, it's not just inspiration and feel good, but it's action and doing something.
Well, I'm sure glad to have you on board.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you so very much for coming, and we're going to be doing a lot of this together.
Yes.
So I want to thank everybody for spending the time here and watching us, and make sure you subscribe and comment, and you have the most wonderful evening.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you again. Calm Day Pilot. Barnstorming Serenity in the portal. Click on that under.
Pigeon River Farm, yeah.
Awesome.
YouTube page.
Thanks, Bob.